Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and the practical series of the cloud computing. Okay, in this video we will see the basic summary of all the parts that we already completed in the previous videos, part A, part B, part C and part D. So now this is the basic summary of all the code that is used in the practical number 1. So TCP connection code, right? So at the client side and the server side. So for connection establishment, right? This is a fixed code. We have to remember this, right? We have to find the IP address of the server, right? And we will use the same port number, right? That is your 8888, which is used by the server, right? To get the IP address, get localhost method is there. Right? INET address is used to store the IP address, IPv4 address. Socket is the endpoint of communication. Client will create a socket. As we can see here, server also create a socket. So both the party will create a socket, and there is a just display message. Connection is done. Connection is established. So now this is our connection establishment code. Okay. In this practical, we have two files. First is your client file, and second is your server file. So now, whether it is client or server, right, you want to read the data from the user. Suppose I want to take the input from the user. We have to use a buffer reader class. Do remember, students, buffer reader, but in this case we use system.in. Why? Because we are reading data from console system. From system. That's for here. That's why here will system.in will come. Okay. So now we are just printing the message and read line. So whether it is client or server, so we have to use this code to read the data from the server. So in most of the cases, this code will come under client program. Right? Server is not interact with the user. Client will interact with the user and accept the request from the user. Okay, so now whether the client wants to send the data to the server or server wants to send the data to the client, right? So print writer we have to use, right? This is a fixed code. We have to remember these three lines. These three lines will come under client programs as well as server program. Right? So here we are sending the data on socket as whatever the output, we are sending the output to the socket, right? To read the data, right? As for example, client will send the request, so server will read the request from the client, and then server will send the response to server. So client will read the response from this server. To read the data from the socket, to send the data to the socket, to read the data from the socket, we have to use, whenever the word comes read, we have to use buffer reader. Whenever the word comes to send, we use print writer. So BR1, and this is a code, right? In this time we are reading the data not from the system.in. Why? Because we are not reading the data from the console, from the system. We have to use a socket. That means server, client will send the request on socket, server will send the response on socket. So we have to read the data from the socket, right? So at this time, read line will read the data from the socket and we display the data. So in this way, right, we can understand the basic basic functionality of the TCP protocol using a buffer reader, print writer classes. So this all are the summary of the practical number 1. I hope you understood this summary part, right? Thank you so much.